Hey, I'm Karen, and I'm a mom to two amazingly neurospicy autistic kiddos. If you're an autism parent like me, you know I don't have the time to make a podcast intro. I also lack the tech skills. So let's just get into it. This is the NeurOrdinary podcast. Welcome back to NeurOrdinary. I'm Karen Casso, your self-care and resilience coach, and a mom who knows firsthand how challenging it can be to balance your own needs with the constant demands of parenting. If you're here, you probably have days or even seasons where it feels like your needs are always at the bottom of the list. And let's be honest, it's not a great feeling. Today's episode is a special Q&A. A listener asked, how do I find time for myself when my child needs constant attention? If this is something you've struggled with, first of all, know that you're not alone. In this episode, I'll answer this question directly, sharing insights from my own journey as a neurospicy autism parent and offering practical strategies that can help address this issue. Along the way, we'll talk about two key areas. One, addressing the emotional hurdles like guilt and frustration. And two, building a realistic plan to carve out moments for yourself. Because to succeed, you need both. So let's dive in. Part one, validating the emotional challenges. Let's start by addressing the emotional side of this question. Finding time for yourself can feel impossible when your child needs constant attention. Maybe you feel guilty for even thinking about stepping away. Or maybe it feels like every time you try, something happens that pulls you back into the chaos. Or maybe you feel like you're being punished by their behavior when you do take time away for yourself. And then they need you with a vengeance when you get back. Sound familiar? You're not alone. I'll share a personal story here. A few weeks ago, I was really deep in the trenches of parenting my two autistic kiddos. I was juggling some therapy and insurance paperwork. We were having a lot of meltdowns that week. I had homeschool reports I had to do. And I remember super vividly, I'd plan to take literally just 10 minutes for myself, drink a cup of tea while it was still hot, maybe watch a Harry Styles video or two. But before I could even sit down, one of my kiddos had a sensory overload moment. The other needed help with school. And my tea sat untouched. And so did my plans for quote unquote, me time. In moments like that, it's so easy to feel defeated and frustrated. But here's what I've learned. It's okay to feel those emotions. Guilt and frustration are normal responses to the immense demands of parenting in general. And that goes extra for us as autism parents who are juggling so much more out of necessity and love for our kids, often without adequate resources and support. What's not okay is letting those emotions convince you that you don't deserve self-care or that self-care is selfish. Your feelings are valid, but they also don't define your worth, and they don't tell the whole story. The first step is giving yourself permission to need and want time for yourself. This is not selfish, it's essential. When you're burned out, it's hard to show up as the parent you want to be. So the first step is creating your plan for self-care. Once you've validated your emotions, it's time to build a plan. Finding time for yourself isn't about overhauling your schedule overnight. It's about finding small, achievable moments that work for your unique situation, schedule, and lifestyle. Here's what worked for me. I started by looking for micro moments of time, tiny windows where I could focus on myself, even if only for a few minutes. For example, I paired my morning reset breath with waiting for my kids' breakfast to cook. Later, I added a 5-minute gratitude practice to my day by keeping a journal on the kitchen counter. These weren't huge changes, but they were sustainable and they made a difference. So here are 3 strategies you can try. Number 1, time blocking in miniature. Instead of trying to carve out an hour, start with just 5 or 10 minutes. You might use that time to step outside, listen to a favorite song, or practice mindfulness. And you could also pair these moments with something you're already doing, like waiting for water to boil for tea or for a therapy session to start. Tip number 2, share the load. If possible, ask your partner, a trusted friend, or a family member to step in, even for a short time. It's not about shirking responsibilities, it's about creating balance. For me, this looks like asking my spouse to handle bedtime on the nights he isn't working, so I can take a bath without interruptions. Gotta get that hygiene, fam. Tip number 3, use tools and technology. Don't be afraid to lean on tools that make life easier. A visual schedule can help your child feel more secure while you step away for a moment. Or if your child loves music, create a playlist they enjoy and let them listen to it while you take a short break nearby. And in case no one's told you lately, Screen time is okay as long as it works for your family and doesn't make things harder in the long run. There is nothing wrong with having an iPad day so you can catch up on rest or do whatever you need to do. Why these strategies work? Well, these small steps help you recharge and build resilience. When you care for yourself, you're better equipped to manage the constant demands of parenting. But let's be honest, these strategies won't always go smoothly. Some days your 5-minute plan might get interrupted, and that's okay. It's about progress, not perfection. And one of the ways we can get through this is by anticipating challenges. Because, full disclosure, I know this won't be easy or feel natural at the beginning. That's why anticipating challenges might be a great place to start for you. So, if you're feeling like even 5 minutes of self-care feels impossible, I get it. Some days the idea of carving out even a tiny sliver of time for yourself feels laughable. Between your child's needs, household responsibilities, and all the unexpected twists, it's easy to feel like there's no space left for you. But you don't have to start with 5 minutes. Start with 1. Use that single minute to practice your reset breath. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, and then exhale for 6 seconds. Repeat this for 5 to 10 breaths or until you start to feel calmer. It's not just about calming your body, it's about proving to yourself that even amidst the chaos, you can find 60 seconds. Another idea? Write down one thing you're grateful for, even if it's as simple as the coffee I drank this morning was still warm. The beauty of starting small is that it builds momentum. Once you've mastered 1 minute, stretch it to 2 minutes and then 3. Over time, these micro moments will become a habit and a lifeline. Because self-care doesn't have to be an all or nothing deal. It's about taking what you can when you can and giving yourself credit for every small effort. You might be a little bit afraid of the fact that you don't have anyone to help, and feeling like you're doing this alone is tough. Many parents tell me, I'd love to take a break, but there's no one else who can step in. And if that's where you are, know this: help doesn't always have to mean physical, hands-on support. Sometimes emotional support can be just as powerful. Explore online communities like my Self-Care Support Squad on Substack, or join our free Facebook group. These spaces are filled with parents who truly get it, people who can offer encouragement, share creative solutions, and remind you that you're not alone. One mom recently shared how reading other stories gave her the confidence to try a new to her routine and how much that helped her feel better. Do not underestimate the power of connection. Even a 5 to 10 minute conversation with someone who understands can leave you feeling lighter and more energized. If you're hesitant to dive into a group, start small. Read posts, comment when you feel comfortable, and take parts that resonate with you from the discussion. Support can look different for everyone, and that's okay. So here's where it all comes together. To truly succeed, you need both an emotional plan and a practical plan. The emotional side validates your struggles and helps you release any guilt you might be feeling, while the practical plan gives you actionable steps to create time for yourself. Think of it like this: the emotional plan is the why, and the practical plan is the how. And when you combine them, you create a foundation for sustainable self-care. Here's an example of how this works for me. One evening, I hit my limit after a long day of homeschooling, meltdowns, managing dinner, you know. My emotional plan kicked in first, and I told myself, it's okay to feel overwhelmed. This doesn't mean you're failing, it means you're human. Then I activated my practical plan. I let my kids watch a Mark Rober video while I stepped outside for 3 minutes of fresh air. These combined steps made all the difference in me that night. So, how do you find time for yourself when your child needs constant attention? Start by acknowledging and validating the emotional challenges. Then, create a realistic plan for small, consistent moments of self-care. Remember that self-care isn't a luxury, it's how you build resilience one moment at a time. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to join my Substack paid membership. For just $7 a month, you'll get access to live group coaching calls so you too can ask me questions like this. You'll also get valuable resources, replays of the Ultimate Autism Parent Self-Care Workshop, weekly subscriber-only articles, and so much more. Together, we'll continue to explore how to thrive as parents and individuals. Thanks for listening. New episodes of the NeurOrdinary podcast drop every Thursday. Until then, remember that even in the chaos, you matter. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with another autism parent you know who might benefit from these insights. And whatever you do, keep it spicy. See you next week.